Hi, it's Kennergy with a reply to Elena43 on the topic of getting rid of the super delegates in the nomination process for presidency, and then the Electoral College and the general election for the presidency of the United States. Um, both wonderful ideas. I'm all for that. I'm for getting rid of any of the impediments to democracy. I think there are many of them, and perhaps I'll discuss them in future videos because it's far too much to squeeze into one short video reply. But okay, the Electoral College, for those who just a brief need just a brief reminder of what that is. Okay, in the United States, when we vote for president, we aren't actually voting for the president. We're actually voting for a slate of electors, individuals who have pledged to vote for the person who we would like to vote for. Each state has a certain number of electors that's equal to the number of their representatives in Congress, the House and Senate combined. And so that makes up the number of electors. You need the majority of them, 270, to get to become president. Each state awards their electors on a winner-take-all basis. So somebody who gets 51% of the overall vote nationally, but gets that 51% in 48 states, gets a 48-state landslide. It just doesn't quite seem right. It seems like you can have, it's a close election and yet a landslide at the same time. Doesn't seem to make sense. But politicians love it because they can play with the numbers and say, well, I had the biggest landslide in terms of the electoral college. Another one say, I had the biggest landslide in terms of the popular vote. And they're both right. And they're both wrong. Okay, but why am I saying so? Yes, this is something that needs to change because I think we've gone beyond the point where we see ourselves as 50 separate states competing for power, and we actually would like the popular vote to be the one and only true arbiter of who becomes the president of the United States. And this, of course, was brought out quite clearly in 2000 and 2004 when we had contested presidential elections, shall we say, just leave it at that. Okay, so we need reform in this regard. Why has reform not come? Why has reform not come? And this is where we're going to get to the whole nomination thing and the super delegates. The problem is the system works for those who are in power. Many of the impediments to democracy that we the people can clearly see and say, why is this not fixed? But the people who are in power love it because it keeps them in power. And how this relates to the superdelegates, okay, the superdelegates is totally a creation of the parties themselves. And in this case, we're in particular talking about the Democratic Party because we've had such a long and contested nomination process there. The superdelegates were a creation of the Democratic Party to get away from democracy. They didn't like, the leaders of the party didn't like the people who were winning primaries because we the people wanted something a little more outside the mainstream, a little more radical perhaps, than the party elders were willing to put out as nominees. And they created the superdelegate process to correct for us stupid peons who actually go out and vote. The superdelegates is proof that those who are in power in both parties, I mean, in this case, we're talking about the Democrats, but it's the Republicans too, but it's more proof that those who are in power really disrespect the actual voters. They fear the voters because we are unpredictable. We might change our mind, and they like to hold their power. I get a little bit angry about this. So yes, yeah, both the superdelegate process and the whole the other problems in the nomination process and the presidential and the electoral college. And let's see, I'm already at 4 minutes. If I don't want this to be 15 minutes, I'm not even going to get into some of the other impediments to democracy, but maybe I will later. But just remember, the parties are not our friends in reforming democracy. The parties are not our friends in making democracy work for we the people. It is up to us as individuals and as independent individuals to demand that our democracy be returned to us. Just say no to the two-party system.